Welcome to another episode of the Rugby League Outsiders. My name's Craig.
And my name's Karl.
And today we've got an amazing interview with Conrad Anderson, who is the media officer at the North Wales Crusaders. Bit of a mouthful, but we got there.
And the host of the Crewcast.
Yeah, so if
this is a podcast collaboration, you could say.
Nice. So if you haven't checked out the Crewcast, make sure you do. Conrad, thanks for giving up your time. I know it's match day and I can imagine it's quite busy. Just out of interest and just so learn a bit more about you, like what's your responsibilities on match day?
Well, thanks for having me and pleasure to be here. I do a bit of everything really. I'm a bit of a jack of all trades, but my field is media. Obviously, like to sort of interview the players, give the fans an extra insight of what happens in the week, build up, match day, all that.
Yeah.
But also on match day itself, my day really starts early at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, depending what time kick-off is. But today, for example, 5 o'clock kick-off, I'm here for 11 o'clock, along with other directors as well, setting up the bars and making sure it's all presentable before the gates open and, organising people. We've got bands and entertainment here. We've had a nines competition or a touch rugby competition on the pitch. So all that logistical, all goes on in the week. And, every game this season is a themed game. So the next game is for the armed forces, D-Day, 80th anniversary. So organising that as well. So it's a lot what I do, but you know what though, I love it because it's away from my day job, and I love rugby league and I love this club. It's I'm very privileged to be part of this club, and the people involved in it are just brilliant, and I'd say the friends for life really, and collectively this is what rugby league is all about. Before this club came about in 2010 during the Super League, I've never met these people, and you think, and when you get involved, you have a passion, and you think to yourself, well, I wouldn't expect myself to be in Keighley or Newcastle on a odd Sunday afternoon. Great places they are, obviously, and it's brilliant place to be, and it's an important part of my life, really. It's like I see Crusaders people more than I do with my own family sometimes. But it feels it's you want to give something back, and I would never change it for the world.
So I know you do a lot of different things around the club, but I'm going to focus on the media a little bit. You're responsible for making the social media, the look of North Wales Crusaders go out to the wide world. Explain to me your sort of Monday to Sunday what that would entail and what you do during the week.
Josh is a big part of that as well. I know you had him on another episode, but Josh, I work closely with Josh, but I like to give fans a bit of an insight of what it's like in the world of North Wales Crusaders. They know what goes on a Sunday, but what goes on in
behind the scenes.
Yeah, behind the scenes, and how do the players prepare for the game? How do the coaches think? What does it look like in training? What do the board of directors do? What do we do? I think it's important, people know that, because it is an insightful job, and no day is different. No day is the same. It's very different. And but what I always like to do is focus on players. Of course, players come here, and it's a bit of a platform for them. So I feature a player every week. They do an interview for us, and basically like to get to know them and bring the audience
personalities
out, to the forefront, and also take the audience to the heart of what we're all about. You know what I mean? And I enjoy having access to these players. I'm very privileged to have access to the players, but they are wonderful people, and they get paid, but they don't play for money. They play for the club, they play for the crest, play for themselves, play for the family, and play for the fans. And it's just unbelievable. It's so great to speak to individuals week in, week out, and that's what I try to portray on our social media, also on our media sort of visual. Obviously I've got to get down with the kids these days. There's X, there's Spotify, there's all sorts. Instagram, and we always have to catch up. We always try and do something, videos, day in the life of players, things like that. These are the things that I would want to know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And hopefully it inspires someone. I don't know. Who knows? It might do.
I'm sure it was. I was saying that it just takes one comment on one day by one person, you'll change someone's life. And I dare say, some of the stuff you pump out, it'll do that. So, what bit of content or what do you know will be like a hit, like a dead cert hit? What does well?
Well, you always see from other clubs, players saying the same mantra. Yeah, we've got to prepare well. It's like a script.
Yeah.
But I'd like to know what these players do in their personal time. So TikTok, for example, we did Day in the Life of Toby Hughes. So he did a sort of a vox pop, if you like, if that's the word expression. So he did a video diary of himself from within 30 seconds what his day was like. Another one was getting the players to express themselves. What's their favourite music? What inspires them? What motivates them? And we put that all on our Spotify list. And I think it gets the fans know a different angle to them, and that's what I like to know. You want to know the people at the end of the day. They come out at 3:00 every Sunday afternoon, but we want to know what makes them tick. You know what I mean? And I like to know what their interest is. And some of them are very surprising. You think whatever keeps you going, that's what we like to know. So it's interesting, and I'm having a bit of fun with it. It's trial and error, but some players are keen, some players are not, but I suppose it's practice for them, isn't it? So
well, it's funny because I was listening to a press conference with Rowan Smith. Leeds my team I follow.
Yeah.
And I hate Rowan Smith when he's doing his press conferences and that, because he gives nothing away, and I kind of understand why he does it, but I'm a bit fed up of it. And so anyway, they asked him, will you be watching the Challenge Cup final at the weekend? And he was like, yeah, I'll probably watch it. And they're like, well, who are you backing to win? And he went, nobody. I'll just watch it as a thing. And I'm like, off. You know what I mean? You must have an opinion as an elite level coach. You've got to have an opinion.
Yeah.
And it felt very cold. I just felt like you're not letting me behind the scenes.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, because coaches come across as robotic. Yeah. Show a bit of charisma, show a bit, get a bit of passion in it. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you're in a privileged job. Okay, I wouldn't expect them to give tactics away, but as a game in general, I think it's a breath of fresh air. You see in football a lot. Interviews, passions, emotions over spills sometimes. That's what you want to see. You know what I mean? They're not robotic. They're not scripted. We hear the same fucking thing every sort of week. I want to know what that person is. If you're pissed off, tell me. You know what I mean? I think that's what fans want to hear. Be honest with people. Do not put people. I know with Sky and BBC they say the same thing, but at this level you can delve in what you're thinking. You're not happy, why? And then sometimes I have the privilege to ask Karl. I remember asking him last week. We lost against the Midlands, and it was our 5th defeat in a row. And obviously, crewcast, I'm privileged to sort of have access to the coaches. And I just said, the next 5 fixtures, is that the season? Yes. Well, if I didn't answer that, if I didn't ask that question in a certain way, I would have got all around the houses, tough season, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it is tough. That's what people know. And I'm thinking, are you feeling the pressure? Are you feeling the pinch? You want to feel, you want to hear that, you know what I mean? Because it is important, and that's what fans want to know. They pay hard-earned cash to pay to watch us, and that's what they're thinking. So what I try and do, I'm a bit of a fan, but I also got to, I try and ask what they want. You know what I mean? And that's what it's all about. They're the audience, and you've got to deliver for them. So.
Yeah, I think you're probably in a bit of a privileged position with Karl being your head coach, because he's player coach, isn't he? So
you know what? Yes.
And that's a very unique situation.
It doesn't happen very often, does it? And you wouldn't mind me saying this, but sometimes you think maybe he's a bit unprofessional in regards to the way he is with players. But he's a player himself, so therefore you can't criticise and bollock players if he's dropped the ball himself. You know what I mean? He's one of them, and in some ways it works, because you think, well, I know how you feel. You can't, he's in the trenches, so to speak, isn't he? So rather than being in the stand and sort of say you should have done this, should have done that, he feels it. So I understand that, and he probably gets away with it, because he the position he's in. But you know what? Karl's always honest though, and he loves the club. He loves what he's doing. Very passionate, and sometimes you forget how old he is. You know what I mean? He's a young coach still, and what he's achieved so far in the game is unbelievable. So I think we're privileged to have him, and he's passionate about it. Yeah, I can tell that.
Yeah. If you could give one piece of advice to a community club that's heading up their media, what would it be?
Be honest. Don't bullshit. Just don't put you obviously put a spin on things, but just be honest. Just say it as it is. That's what people want to know. It's not necessarily making headlines, but just be honest. Just try and get the story out there, and just say it as it is. Really, obviously, don't go out to offend people or cause offence or bring the game to distribute. Just say it as it is, and that's my advice, really. Yeah. I think honesty, quotes, and asking the honest, hard questions, which is sometimes hard to answer. That's what people want to hear, and it's not like politicians speak. You know what I mean? Where it's like the same drivel week in, week out. Let's have a bit of passion. Let's show a bit of be honest, and that's what I try and get. And sometimes I design the questions for that, where you only can answer me one or two ways. You know what I mean? So how it works, and I think you get a lot out of that, and fans love that. So that's my advice.
What kind of obstacles do you face as a media officer in a pro club that other people wouldn't be aware of?
Obviously, resources, time, because everything's voluntary. We have our own families, our own lives. I work a full-time job, and I don't want to blow smoke up my own ass, but I work nights. So I've worked a night shift last night, finished at 7 o'clock. By the time I get home, it's 8 o'clock. I'm here for 10, 11. So I've not had any sleep, really. So that's an obstacle for me personally. Yeah. It's my choice, and I enjoy doing it. But I just think it's trying... players are not contracted to do media interviews. A lot of them are shy. A lot of them... So you need to get... what I do, how I do it is asking 4 or 5 questions. They answer them, and then I'll turn that into an article. So that's a big obstacle because it takes time to do. But I try and say, just be honest. Say what you think. When I do podcast things like that, if they make a mistake or whatever like that, I allow them to make a mistake. We edit it, things like that. But I don't edit it too much. I want that raw personality to come through, and I think that's the biggest challenge, is trying not to sanitize it too much, trying to leave it as it is. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
obviously we can't finish this episode without talking about the takeover that is happening, I suppose, and still to be ratified by the RFL, but it looks like it's going ahead. As somebody who's a volunteer, you've probably got your ear to the ground with the fans. What's the general thoughts amongst the fans?
I think excitement is the overall emotion. Sometimes I woke up this morning and thinking, am I dreaming? You know what I mean? Because this, I'm used to us having sorting a problem out. For example, last season, we were told 48 hours before the game, stadium's not available. We're going to scramble around. It's about time that this club has a bit of luck. Because at the end of the day, the people that work here don't do it for money. They do it because they love it, and we know that this is the sleeping giant of rugby league in Wales, and obviously, unfortunately, we haven't got a South Walian team, and that's sad. But we are carrying the flag for Wales Rugby League and also North Wales Rugby League. But this is a great area. It is a football area mainly, but there's a rugby union area as well. And I think there's there's room for both codes. Obviously, in the winter, rugby union, we don't play. Rugby league in the summer, so plenty of opportunity for players to have a go at it. And who knows, the sport might suit it. But I just think it's an unbelievable sort of news story. I hope it works out. I'm sure it does. I've spoken to Jamie very briefly. He's very passionate. He's very passionate about grassroots. He wants to grow the club bottom up. It's not about seeing Super League or whatever. It's all about sort of developing the club, creating pathways, developing homegrown talent. Because in all honesty, we are North Wales Crusaders, but we're Welsh in name only. When I mean that, we've got Welsh fans and things, but players wise, it's only a handful of players that are Welsh born, and we don't get an attachment. Fans don't have an attachment for that. You got players that are from the North West, good they are. Predominantly our fans are from the Wrexham area, few of them from here, but we'd like to do more. And with this investment, hopefully there's funding now to employ people on a full-time basis, to bang the drum, to make people aware. The amount of people I go around and say, do you know that North Wales Crusaders exist? Oh, I thought you were still in Wrexham. A lot of people say that to me. And I just think, there's only so much you can do when you're voluntary, but if there's investment and there's a person to actually do that job, I think that it will go further. And it's going to take time. It's a great. The news stories have been great. It's gone viral on media, but we've got to be realistic at the same time. We've got to, the expectation. We've got to manage it. It's not going to happen overnight. It's good, but it's more or less going to be like a 3, 4, 5, 10-year project to get where we are. You know what I mean? Obviously, Championship is the first milestone. The Super League is obviously the dream, but that's going to take time. But we've got to do it properly. We don't want it to make it a one-hit wonder. We've got to, and it's in our own interest, best interest, for the new owners to come in and because we need continuity, we need people to be familiar. We know these people like myself and other people know the club, they would know the area, we know what that needs doing. I think the best for us is to advise them and say, perhaps we do this, do that, and if we've got a budget, we can do more with it. We can be more efficient, more effective, and I hope that happens. So yeah.
Well, Conrad, it's been really interesting talking to you.
Very passionate, aren't I?
It comes across well, though.
I know it's election time, but you'd think this would be a broadcast. You know what I mean?
And it's game day. No doubt you're very busy. And what should we're obviously staying around to take in the game. What should we be looking out for that we might miss if we're not
I think the Fan Zone, brilliant initiative that we've come up with this year. It's a place where people can meet and greet, have a chat, listen to entertainment, all included in your match ticket. I think with the cost of living, and people's time is at a premium now, and it's not just a match these days. We want to make it into a day out. Come here to bring the family here. Mum and dad have a pint when their child's playing rugby. We want it to be a controlled environment, a safe environment, and that's what we're doing. And I just think sample that. Speak to asking yourself, what do you make of this? I think it's a great initiative what we're doing. Got a lot of work to do. We can improve it. We can always improve it. But brilliant start, and I think it's gone popular. The Garvey Fan Zone. Go in there and and maybe ask the fans what they think about this takeover. Yeah. I think I don't think you'll get many negative comments. So.
Brilliant.
Okay, so
brilliant. Thank you for having me.
Thanks very much.
Bye.
That's the final whistle for this week's episode of the Rugby League Outsiders. We hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to follow us on social media and share this podcast with your friends. And as always, if you have a story to tell, a club to plug, or a player that deserves recognition, we want to hear from you. So until next time on the Rugby League Outsiders, take care.